Over the weekend, a Norfolk man accused of first-degree murder was arrested by Sioux City police in connection with the fatal shooting of 29-year-old Haley Christensen.
That's right, Tim. KCAU-9 looked into this man's criminal past and found that he has a history of domestic violence. It is our top story tonight at 6.
28-year-old Deshaun Gleaton is now held in the Madison County, Nebraska jail on $5 million bond. Court documents show that in 4 previous years, Gleaton had been charged with domestic abuse in Iowa and Nebraska. The victim of Friday's shooting, Haley Christensen, had a protection order against Gleaton at the time of the shooting, but it had not yet been put into service. Gleaton was out at the time of the shooting for a domestic assault charge that did involve Christensen.
Now, this recent shooting has, of course, shed a light on the way domestic violence is a persistent problem for the victims and also for law enforcement, because there's no simple solution for dealing with domestic violence situations. KCAU-9 News reporter Lydia Vasquez joining us live from Safe Place in Sioux City with more on how people can protect themselves and also look at exactly what police deal with in these situations. Lydia.
We looked into criminal records that show that Haley Christensen was at the Norfolk police station the night before she was killed. Police say she reported receiving multiple phone calls from a restricted number, which she believed were from Deshaun Gleaton. Now, South Sioux City Police Chief says without a protective order being served, it does make it difficult for law enforcement to intervene.
Our job is if we can prove that a domestic violence situation occurred, and we're fairly certain that it did, our duty is we shall arrest. But then there's burdens of proof we have to do. If there's no real marks and it's he said, she said, it's very difficult for us to make an arrest.
South Sioux City Police Chief Ed Mahon says if they can't prove domestic violence is happening, officers still provide resources to an alleged victim. One of the resources is Safe Place in Sioux City. Safe Place's hotline is open 24 hours a day. They provide shelter and food free of charge to victims of domestic abuse. Norma Garza Ramirez is a domestic violence counselor at Safe Place. She says it takes the entire community, friends and family, to spot signs of domestic abuse.
Someone is experiencing domestic violence, they tend to maybe, let's say, kind of distance themselves, are always sad, kind of stay quiet. They're not as happy, outgoing as the person was before.
Sergeant Jeremy McClure with Sioux City Police Department says when it comes to domestic violence, there's only so much law enforcement can do to be proactive.
Some of our frustrations are, and I understand people are frustrated when we can't do anything in a situation like 2 people are arguing. It hasn't been physical, but there's some indicators that it's possibly an abusive relationship, and we can't force the person out of the house because they're legal residents of that and they haven't committed a crime, so we can't take an enforcement action against them.
Ramirez with Safe Place says it's best to come up with a safety plan, like leaving on your porch light during the day as a sign of danger, or coming up with a code word to send to a loved one. Reporting from Safe Place in Sioux City, Lydia Vasquez, KCAU-9 News.